Welcome to All About the Philippines. In this video I'll identify 5 different types of men who should never date a Filipina, and I'll tell you why this is so. There are many things one needs to consider before he starts any process, and to be sure that he ticks all the boxes if he's looking for a serious and genuine relationship with a Filipina. Just hold on one moment and we'll get to the video in a flash. Looking to date a Filipina, or already dating or married to a Filipina? I use my experiences around my relationship with my Filipina wife of 6 years, as well as my professional experience as a qualified relationship counsellor for the past 10 years to help you on your way. Are you after information, tips and resources for a successful relationship with a Filipina and maintain it? Too easy. Just take a second to subscribe and click the bell icon, and I promise you'll never miss out again. When a man is dating within his own country, quite often very little thought goes into starting a relationship. I mean, you like her and she likes you, and we think we'll date and see how things work out. If they don't work out, then no harm, and you both go about your own lives. Things get far more, I don't want to say the word complicated, but for someone looking to date a Filipina, they need to give the idea so much more thought even before the start of any relationship. And by the way, if there's any guys out there looking to date a Filipina, be sure to check out my affiliate links in the pinned comment below to the #1 dating site in the Philippines and to a highly regarded dating site in Asia. Both are free to create an account and view thousands of beautiful Filipina profiles. Many guys in our community right here have found great success, and you can too. Now remember guys, that many of the Filipinas that you may be looking at online may come from province areas and may not have a real lot in life. They may still be very happy, but their life at times can be very difficult, especially if they get affected by any natural disasters from time to time, or their family may struggle at times to get the money to eat or buy necessities. Now, for a foreigner to come along and has not given careful thought to what he's doing could be devastating to this Filipina, because you have given her hope and the possibility of a better life through your promises. So whatever promises you make at that time to a Filipina, you need to be very sure you'll be able to keep them, and don't make her life any more difficult than it really needs to be. Can you imagine how she may feel if she was online dating with you for maybe 6 or 7 months, and then you told her you love her and you'll marry her, and one day bring her to a nice life in your country where she wouldn't really have to worry about having 3 meals a day on the table or having the necessities of life that's always been a struggle for her. Then all of a sudden, for one of the reasons I'm about to mention, you told her, sorry, but I can't do this any longer with you, and goodbye. Most girls in most countries may be a little upset, but to a Filipina who has struggles in her life, she'll really take this very, very hard. 6 months she's been dreaming of a new life and researching the country and the town or city she was to be living in, and now that's just been taken away from her. Now, I know that in any relationship there's risks, but when you're dealing with a woman that is more vulnerable, you really need to take extra care to ensure whatever promises are made are indeed kept. Realistically, we can never predict everything that may come along, but if we consider the following before getting into such a relationship with a Filipina, it will go a long way to ensuring you don't mess with her feelings and her life. #1 is, have you fully considered the cost involved in dating a Filipina from the start to the time you may marry her and bring her to your country, or for you to move to the Philippines? As I said before, you are not dating a woman in your own country where the costs can be very minimal. No airfares, hotels, visas, passports, vaccinations, travel insurance, buying luggage, and the list will go on. Now, it'll depend on what country you live in as to how expensive these things may be. For example, a partner visa in Australia is around $8,000 if you lodge it yourself, and you can add maybe another $5,000 or $6,000 or so if you have an agent lodge it for you. I believe similar visas in the USA are much cheaper. So it'll be really up to you guys to do your own research around that. Now you'll need to travel back and forth to the Philippines every 3 to 6 months if you want to keep the relationship going forward. So whilst airfares are pretty inexpensive these days, they do add up. You get the idea that everything from the start of the relationship through to the marriage can add up to many thousands of dollars, and in some cases maybe even into the tens of thousands of dollars. And if you only have an average income and you've got plenty of expenses going out, you may only have little savings. So if you can't save the required amount you'll need to see the relationship through in a reasonable period of time, then you certainly are the first type of man who should never date a Filipina. Number 2 is if you have a criminal conviction. For many countries you won't need a visa if you go to the Philippines for 30 days or less, but you'll need to declare any criminal convictions you may have, and then it's up to the Philippines to decide whether you are of good character or not to enter their country. You really don't want to have paid all the expenses to get to the Philippines and have the Filipino excited and waiting for you, only for you not to be allowed to come through immigration and be sent home on the next flight. So if you have any criminal convictions, small or big, recent or 10 years ago, I would seek the best advice I can find before dating a Filipina, because you could be the second of the men who should never date a Filipina. Number 3 is the men who may have a block on their passport. Different countries do different things around having a block put on someone's passport for various reasons. It could be because of a court order in the family law, so you can't race off with the kids to live in another country, or it could be because of various legal troubles you've had with the law. And what many people may not realise is that not that long ago in Australia they put passport blocks on anyone who was in arrears on their child support. I'm unsure of what the minimum is, but imagine turning up at the airport and being told you can't leave until the money you owe is paid back. In fact, there was a story a year or so back that a man was stopped at Sydney Airport as he owed his ex-wife $25,000 for unpaid child support. Staggeringly, this guy went and paid the full amount so he was able to leave the country, but I'm sure most of us don't even have $5,000 or $10,000 laying around that we could just grab and pay on the spot. So if you have a block on your passport, then it's pointless dating someone from another country in the first place, and you are certainly the third type of man who should never date a Filipina, at least until that block is removed. Number 4 is sort of obvious, but some people don't discuss this until they've been dating several months or are engaged or sometimes even married. And that is that you may have just assumed your Filipina girlfriend would want to come and live in your country. Because hey, every Filipina wants that, right? Well, I'm here to tell you wrong. Not all Filipinas want that. In fact, many love their family, friends, work and their country. This is one of the very many questions that should be discussed very early on and before either of you invest effort, time and emotions into the relationship. Many foreign men have the illusion or this idea in their head that all Filipinas want to be whisked away by her knight in shining armour. That is a big misconception, and if you're not happy to go and live with her in the Philippines, then perhaps you're the fourth type of guy that should never date a Filipina. And number 5 is that you may have very recently broken up from a long-term relationship. For many men this can be very emotional. You can be sad, mad and angry all within one day. Your thoughts can be anything from I miss her to I hate her and everything in between. Some days you'll be lonely and others you'll feel free as a bird and no one to complain about your many habits. At this time it can be very easy for a man to try and hide his pain and think he can find another woman pronto and all his problems and worries will disappear. And of course, when we're outside the situation and looking in on that person, it is clear to see the disaster that's waiting to happen. Because there's a very big risk that he may enter a relationship with a Filipina and not be emotionally ready for it at that time. He has so much to resolve himself around dividing property, goods, money, etc., not to mention a divorce he'll need to manage at some point. He really needs to have sorted his baggage out, so to speak, before starting any relationship, let alone one with a Filipina. So for you guys who may be in this position, be sure to sort out your personal life before dragging a lovely Filipina into the middle of it all, so you can concentrate on being the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. Otherwise, you may very well be the fifth and final type of man who should never date a Filipina. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts on this, so pop your comments below. If you've enjoyed the video or found it informative, then please hit the like button. Feel free to share the video with all your networks and subscribe to our friendly community if you haven't already done so, and be sure to press the bell icon to ensure you get all our future videos. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I appreciate all your support. Take care and bye for now.